Grand Rising, Grand Rising. I'm gonna take y'all with me to the gym. Okay. Before I go to the gym, there's just a few things that I like to make sure that I have. Okay, got to make sure that I have. I don't want to eat too heavy, but I want to eat something wherein it gives me energy. Complex carbs, like I mentioned before, bananas, excellent source of energy. Grapes, blueberries, even not a big smoothie, but a small smoothie. When you start working out and you work out hard, a lot of times if you take in a lot of citrus fruits, that acid comes up into your esophagus while you're working out, and that's no good. You don't want to feel like that. So very light on the fruit. Dark fruits are antioxidants, so they're really good for the body. Get your dark fruits. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. That's real. Check it out. So you see, I take vitamin D, a lot of vitamin D, D3. I take in the winters, I try to take things to boost my immune system. So I take like vitamin C, I'll take some zinc. Vitamin D, of course, will boost your immune system. I take one multivitamin. One a day for men's is good. They have one a day for women's. You get that as well. But a multivitamin, Centrum is good too. But one a day, I find to be the best. It even has better ratings or reviews. So one multivitamin, vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D3. I'll also take, other things I might take might be glucosamine, because if you're over 50, you probably have some joint issues by now. And that helps to make the joints move a little smooth. To work these old bones, try to keep my muscles strong enough to uphold this body weight as I get older. I want to age gracefully. I think so far I'm okay. You can hear a little raspiness in my voice. This raspiness comes from 3 decades of talking to students and, hard-headed students, and raising my voice and doing a lot of talking. But I have a little raspiness. I have a post-nasal drip. And that's annoying. Anybody who has a post-nasal drip, you know what I'm talking about. That's all the time. It's so I have to, I don't have to, but there's a saline spray that I use to deal with that. It's really irritating. But, because as we get older, certain things that we eat, or have been eaten throughout our life start to have an impact, start to affect how healthy we are. So, for example, I did a podcast before with my brother Combative OG about the dangers of dairy. And just so happens that 80% of Native Americans are lactose intolerant. 80% of African Americans and African people and people of the African diaspora are lactose intolerant. 90% of Asians are lactose intolerant. People from Northern Europe tend to be less lactose intolerant. So like if I drink or milk or eat cheese or any types of dairy, immediately, like Dr. Sebi said, soon as you take in that dairy, it begins to make you sick. So the sinus issues that I have, I'm going to attribute it to dairy, although I haven't been diagnosed with that. It's just that the things that I've read and the doctors that I've listened to, and I know I've taken in my share of dairy. And it has, this is some of the side effects from it. Nasal issues, mucus doesn't move. Now, you're supposed to have cilia in your nostrils. So, and you have hair in your nose. The reason we have the hair in our nose is to catch dirt and dust and debris and things that we don't want in our lungs. So you also have mucous membranes inside your nasal cavity, and you have cilia, right? There's like really tiny hairs, and these hairs kind of move. The mucus that has caught the dust and other particles that you don't want in your body, and they push them out. That's why it's not good to dig in your nose. And so your mucous membrane is necessary. It's a defense system. And as soon as you start to eat dairy, it affects that. It affects the way that how much mucus you get. You may get too much of it. If you're a smoker, soon as the smoke touches the cilia in your nose, the cilia just stops moving. So what happens is you'll find if you're a smoker, you probably have big boogers in your nose. You probably get a lot of mucus building up in your nose because the hairs are not moving that dirty mucus out of your nose. All of that mucus that has been catching germs, now because the cilia has been touched by smoke, it's not moving this stuff out of your nose so you can blow it and wipe it out. All right. So cut out the smoking. All right. Especially you tobacco smokers, cut out the smoking, cut out the dairy. All right. Especially if you're African American, Asian, or Native American. Europeans, Northern Europe, like I said, you're okay. So far, no really serious adverse effects for the majority of people who drink milk that have Northern European ancestry. So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Asians, Indigenous Americans, such as myself, African Americans, such as myself, because I'm a part of that as well, and people who generally have some melanin or around the world who don't really need to be taken in milk or anything dairy with lactose in it. So like I mentioned, I hadn't been diagnosed with any afflictions due to my intake in dairy. And most doctors are not going to tell you that. You probably need to find a melanated doctor, a doctor that understands holistic medicines. So if you get one of these doctors, because today doctors are like the biggest drug dealers. They make a lot of money from selling you pharmaceuticals or from buying and selling pharmaceuticals to you. All right. So they're not going to tell you, some doctors are not going to tell you the things that are going to make you 100% healthy. So out of the doctors I've known, I have this postnasal drip. I have sinus infections. I get them every year. They'd rather tell me to take a steroid in my arm to stop my lungs from inflaming and give me a nasal spray with medicine in it than to tell me to stay away from dairy. So the less dairy I eat, the less sinus infections I have. In fact, during this whole COVID era, I've had to really restrict some of the things that I used to be comfortable eating. So I cut back on butter. And a lot of people like butter. It's like as you get older, you get wiser and you start realizing things that you've been eating your whole life are more detrimental to your health, such as butter. Butter has an enormous amount of saturated fat in it. So I try to stay away from saturated fats because saturated fats turn to cholesterol. That cholesterol builds up in your arteries. That becomes plaque. It hardens your artery walls, and that could lead to heart attacks. So if you're eating a lot of saturated fats, a lot of processed foods, stay away from that stuff, man. If you want to live long, you want to try to eat whole foods, organic foods as much as you can. A lot of us don't have the money for organic foods. Of course, they're very expensive and they rot very quickly. So you want to try to get as close to that as possible. And in America, with all of these GMOs and food that's just really not good for us, processed foods, you really have to do your research. So before I get to the gym, like I said, I eat light. I have banana. I'm eating some apple slices. I had one granola bar. Got my water. That's enough for me to have the energy I need to do a good 1 hour workout. After I work out, I'm going to need to put in some of the things I lost. So I'm going to eat some protein, low fat, drink plenty of water to rehydrate, and get a lot of rest. Make sure you stretch. Make sure you stretch. A lot of people make mistakes. They go to the gym. They bulking up, they're lifting a lot of weights, but they're not doing any cardio. When you get to be 50 years old, you don't want to have cardiovascular issues. Make sure that you're doing your cardio. I do most of my cardio at home because as we get older, our joints may not, of course, they don't work the same. So it's better to do high intensity, low impact exercises to preserve the cartilage between your joints. So for me, I like to do the elliptical. I'm on my way to the gym. Every year I tell myself, I'm going to, because I gain weight during the winter. I always seem to gain weight. November comes around, I exercise at the gym all the way up till it starts getting cool. Then I can't stand going out because I hate to work out and get hot and sweaty. And, you know, my pores are open and then step outside into the cold to get into my vehicle and come home. So I'd rather just work out at home. That's why I have some things at home. Free weights, dumbbells, barbells, etc. I even have my own elliptical at home, as you saw in previous videos. But for me, November, Thanksgiving, you know, I'm around family, we're eating, you know, I'll say, man, better go work this off. But by the time December rolls around and then January and all these so-called holy days pop up, man, I can't stop putting on that weight, man. So I put on at least 5 pounds every winter, at least 5 pounds. And I kind of go up and down. You know, I try to keep myself from about 5'10". I try to keep my weight about 190. So I might go up to 194. I mean, one year I got up to 206, and that was crazy. But now that I'm 50, and you know, anybody who's over 50 and you're listening to me right now, you know that our metabolism slows down. Men start to secrete or to produce more estrogen in their body than testosterone. So muscles that were really tight begin to become loose. The estrogen makes us not as strong as we used to be in our youth. So in order to, you know, you can't really get rid of this natural occurrence. So you got to try to balance it out. You got to go to the gym. You got to do your cardio. You got to lift weights. You got to eat protein, cut back on the fat. You got to make sure you get plenty of rest. You got to stretch. You got to work on your hips, your lower back, the core, your stomach. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to work on my core, and I'm going to work on my shoulders and my chest. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to show you some exercises when we get to the gym so that you could probably, if you have a gym membership, if you don't, get one. If you don't want to get a gym membership, try to get some of these exercises at home. I'll be doing another video at home so you can see the same types of exercises that I do today at the gym. You're only doing them with bands. Got to work the core. You got to work the core, man. The number one reason that people stay out of work or maybe call out sick, well, it used to be. I'm a little old, man. These stats go way back. But lower back pain, believe it or not, lower back pain. A lot of people over 50, actually over 30, unless you're obese, 35 years old or older, a lot of people call out of work because they have lower back pain. So in order to combat that, in order to alleviate those types of pains, you got to do core exercises. You got to work on your stomach, you got to work on your lower back, you got to work on your waist. Of course, your legs, your foundation, you got to work those every day. So like, even if you're doing jumping jacks, that's good for your calves. You're doing squats with no weights, that's good. You want to keep your muscles strong in your legs because that circulation that goes, when your heart pumps blood, it goes all the way down to your feet and up to your head and then back to the heart and the lungs so that it can receive oxygen and back out to the body. And the oxygen feeds the muscles so that the muscles have energy to contract and relax the way that they should when you're exercising. When you don't have strong legs, you cut off some of that circulation. So a lot of that, the blood vessels in your legs and your veins become very small because you're not working out. And that stops a lot of blood from being able to get to the muscles, which causes fatigue to set in. So in order to have strong and healthy blood vessels, you got to work your legs. You got to work your whole body, but you make sure your legs and your feet are always good, especially as you get older. You don't want to be a decrepit old person if as much as you can prevent it. You know what I mean? I don't like to go in the gym with a bunch of bulk on, so I'm about to transform real quick. You know, my baldy sweats. Whole body sweats. I sweat hard, especially when I work out really hard. I sweat really hard. So, what I'm going to do is make sure that I cover the body with a, what you call it, some people will call this a handkerchief. I call it a do-rag. It's not really a do-rag either. This will catch all the sweat. I remember one time I wore this into Planet Fitness, right? The woman told me I couldn't work out. She said, "You can't work out here." This is in Edison. "You can't work out with that on your head." I was like, "Why?" She was like, "Because people are getting intimidated and they think you're a gangster." But then I look around the gym and I see all these white folks wearing stuff like this. But for me, I was a gangster. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. So we in here about to get this workout on. Check me out, yo. Stomach, shoulders, and chest.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.